Hatred is an emotion that colors your soul, spreading throughout your system, shutting down all other feelings, and becoming a central figure and drive for the unlucky person it befalls. The object of the hatred may or may not be present, but the imagined words and hostile actions against the hated one can dominate at all times. Anti-villains are a great symbol of this. A person with lofty goals of equality and peace, but their means of getting there have been twisted and distorted by the pain they've experienced. Hatred becoming a sickness of their mind, left unchecked, completely poisoning their soul. Arlong is a perfect example of a man filled with hate. The more emphatic elements of his character are displayed first: his tyrannical personality, his ambitious nature and cold heart. Arlong was first introduced to the One Piece story as a basic obstacle to Luffy, a cruel villain that holds Nami in the palm of his hand, an antagonist that is well deserving of our dislike. Arlong considers humans to be inferior beings, justifying his cruelty towards them. He is keen to separate his race from humans, and constantly portrays the mentality that his people are superior to humans in every way imaginable. Arlong hoped to conquer all of the East Blue, using superior underwater tech alongside the superlative maps Nami drew. He thinks nothing of massacring a town full of humans, although he prefers to exploit the humans for all their worth. Arlong introduced a much darker and emotional tone to the series. Now we had the first truly prevalent and threatening villain in Arlong. When he first arrives on the island that would someday become Arlong Park, the first village they encountered was Kokoyashi Village, Nami's hometown. Due to Arlong's greed, he proceeded to heartlessly extort the residents, who would have to pay a fine for living on the island on the threat of death. Belle Marie, Nami's adoptive mother, couldn't afford the price Arlong placed and was callously executed. The scene is emphasized by a darkening of features and a shadowy contrast in comparison to the scenes before, exemplifying the tragedy that unfolds, the birth of Nami's nightmare. A sadistic action that cements his character in the story. Arlong, ever the businessman, sees the skill Nami has as an opportunity, and with no remorse, exploits her for all her worth. A man truly deserving of Luffy's wrath. And that's it, right? A satisfying end to a villain we all hate. Or so you'd think, but Arlong's story doesn't start in the East Blue, far from it. His actions, as horrible as they were, weren't based on a whim, but an accumulation of the trauma he's experienced in his own life. Abandoned by his father at a very young age, he soon forgot the face of his father. The man who should have supported him, cared for him, and comforted him, threw Arlong out like trash. The knife in the back hardening his heart for disappointment, a sense of betrayal. When trust shatters, it's a hard thing to build back up. Dumped on the streets, Arlong ended up in the Fishman District, a place meant to be an orphanage, a safe haven for abandoned children. But eventually it becomes a lawless district where outcasts of Fishman Island gathered, a place rife with crime, a kill or be killed world that created the Arlong we know today, while walling off the Arlong he could have been. These new details and cracks begin to paint Arlong in a new light. The most sadistic element of Arlong's character occurs when he enslaves the humans in the East Blue and exploits them for 8 long years. Nami's terror, all these actions help us build a picture of who Arlong was. A fisherman who cares only for himself, who's cruel and brutal, a villain in the truest sense of the word. But what we find out later on is crucial to who he is. A fundamental piece of Arlong's story was missing: the disgust the world has for him and his kind. Discrimination, aggression, slavery, these were everyday occurrences for the Fishman race. Centuries of bad blood. Many humans continue to see fishmen as freaks and ostracize them around the world. The discrimination dehumanizes them, casting the fishmen in a light whereby they deserve the maltreatment that they've been receiving. Many fishmen fight to prove their worth to the world, to show that they deserve recognition. But Arlong hated this. After merfolk were captured and sold as slaves, after fishmen had been beaten and killed, why does he need to prove his worth? With this aspect, we begin to sympathize more with his character. It doesn't justify his actions, but we see how he acts as a counterbalance in the story. His discrimination of humans is just a defense mechanism for everything he's experienced. As the layers are peeled back and the facade fades, a tortured soul is revealed. Arlong, ever the rebel, decided to form his own pirate crew to defy the world that saw him as trash, though his opinions and his ideals were extreme. Arlong always displayed a high level of brotherhood with his crew, and even towards Nami despite her being human. He looked after his subordinates, and even stated that Nami was his crewmate and would be forever. And while he never displayed any regard for her as a friend, he was prepared to fight to keep her in the crew. If humans insulted his group, Arlong would react to the insult. When weaker members of his crew were hurt, Arlong would seek out revenge. He cared for his crew because they were his family. They were his shelter in the storm that was the world. Fisher Tiger was another person Arlong could put his faith in. A hero, a new father figure to replace his own. He was a former slave of the world nobles who escaped, which should have brought esteem in of itself, but he then proceeds to run rampant, destroying the chains they used to imprison him, freeing as many slaves, human and fishmen, as he could, earning the admiration of Arlong and many others. Arlong joins the Sun Pirates to follow in his footsteps, but to Arlong's dismay, Tiger wouldn't stoop to their oppressor's level and kill innocent humans, an enormous blunder in Arlong's mind, because it was one of these humans who betrayed Tiger. A heartbroken Arlong cried at his death, the first and last time we would see his pain. Tiger's death is what led Arlong's relationship with humans to corrode to the point that it is. What Arlong did was cruel, but not all villains are pure evil. He acts as a mirror for the society he lives in, reflecting their hatred back at them. A victim of his circumstances, he continues to fight to defy the unfairness of the world, because every villain is a hero in his own story. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys later.